जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा पाठ सखी राधा पाठ सखी राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन जय सीता राम लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीता राम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि 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 बोल। जय जय श्री राधे So welcome everyone to our continuation of the study of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the topmost scripture in all the Vedas. So all those who have a copy can open page 1 for Mangalacharan. You may mute, stay muted, but please recite the prayers along with me. That way you will memorize it with each class if you revise with me, if you chant with me. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bibi Govind Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. Shri Bhakti Vitarina Gurave Kamachandra Krishna Chaitanya Gaurakishi. So I trust everybody is well and happy. The last class was done by, we had invited a guest, Her Grace Janvi Priya, who had covered actually verses up to 15, 16, although we didn't do the physical verses, the verses were not chanted. So although she has done the concepts nicely, we will just read those verses quickly. The last verse that we did in class was till 12, right? Anjali, आप मेरे बनिए. We did till 12, right?
Right.
12. Vanita, what is the page number, please?
So it will be, just go to chapter 2 verse 12 na? Ab dhoond lo chapter 2 verse 12 because different books may have different page number.
Page 79. 79.
Thank you, Anjali.
Yeah, I have an older version. The page number will be different. So 2.12. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the verse that we did, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We've done with that.
We are finished with that. So 2.13. Do we have YG or Monica Virmani? I could see. Do we have YG?
No, Vanita, she is not there.
Yeah, okay. So Monica, yeah.
Is-
Yeah, Hanji. Hare Krishna.
Hari bol, Monica. If you can switch on your video, if you want to, and read text 13, verse 2, or chapter 2. Yeah.
Should I start?
Yeah, sure.
देहिनो अस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहांतर प्राप्ते धीरस्त्र न मुह्यति. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change.
Yeah. So we did this in detail, that Krishna is now speaking to Arjun about the difference between the body and soul. And almost 18 verses he will speak, only elaborating on the difference between the body and soul. So you can imagine how important it must be that to drill it into Arjun that you are not this body, you are this soul. Almost 18 verses are dedicated to just this one topic, that dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. So this is the most important point, that the soul is eternal, but the body is not eternal. The body will finish, it is temporary, whereas the soul will not finish. Why? Because it never grows old. It is forever youthful and young. So there is no question of deterioration of the soul. So here in verse 13, he says, as the embodied soul continuously, dehinosmin yatha dehe, kaumaram yauvanam jara. You can see, all of us can see from pictures that we once had the body of a baby. Yes? But where is that body today? It is destroyed. Can we safely say that it has been destroyed? And that body has been replaced by a youthful body. Well, all of you can claim that. I just learned that people over 50 have to call themselves in the old age group. So below 50, all of you can still claim that you are right now are the possessor of Yauvanam, the body of a youth. But you got this body only after destroying your body of a child. Are we lamenting over that? Any of us lamenting over that? No. In fact, you ask a child, all of them, ask teenagers today, all of them are raring to go. Kab bade honge, kab bade honge, youth ki body kab milegi? When can we do this and do that? So, when you are not lamenting for the destruction of your youth, the body of a child, to get the body of a youth, similarly, Yauvanam Jara, Yauvan has to be destroyed to get the body of Jara, old age. And similarly, at old age, the body gets destroyed to again get a newer body. So then why do we start lamenting on the destruction of the old body? That should be, Krishna is trying to tell Arjun, you should be happy, you should be rejoicing. Bhishma and Drona are already in old bodies. Bhishma was like three or four generations old. I mean, he was centuries old. So surely you can imagine how old his body was. So he's definitely going to get a newer, fresher, youthful body. Where is the cause for lamentation in that? And why would you not recognize this fact that just as the childhood got destroyed, Kaumaram got destroyed, and then Yauvan came, and then Yauvan got destroyed, and old age came. So why is there such a big hue and cry about this old body getting destroyed to get a new body? If this is what you are really wondering about, then you should be happy that the soul is eternal and that Drona and Bhishma, who you are very attached to and do not want to kill, and you are lamenting that they will die, then since they are spirit souls and not the bodies, they are anyways going to go on to a newer body. The soul is not going to die. It's just that they will not be in front of you. That's the only difference. Now, if it is bewildering for Arjun, you can imagine how bewildering it would be for all of us. Arjun here is not an ordinary person. He is the knower of all the Vedas. He knows, and plus he is the best friend of Krishna. So he has got to be intelligent that he recognizes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet if he is posing like an ignorant man and asking all these questions, it is only for our sake. He is actually role playing. This is a role that he is playing for the pleasure of Krishna so that Bhagavad Gita can be spoken. Because Kali Yuga is round the corner. And this is just the end of Dwapar Yuga. And people are going to need this. And because none of us are of the caliber of Arjun. The caliber of people, by caliber I mean the mental caliber. The intelligence of the people is diminishing as Kali Yuga progresses. So this is for our benefit that Arjun is asking these questions. It's not that he himself is bewildered. This is a role play. It's a play acting for our benefit. Okay, verse 14. Monica?
मात्रा स्पर्श अस्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुख दुखदा आगामापायिनो नित्यस tam stitikshava bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Yeah. So a big word is used here, which is very fashionable right now in India. Tolerance. A lot has been said about this word in the media, in news, by all varieties and segments of people. So let's understand the meaning of tolerance, or the original definition of tolerance, and how we understand it. So let's understand the meaning of tolerance from Krishna's point of view. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Matra sparshas means, matra means the material world, the sensory perception. Shitokshna sukha dukkha daha. Shitokshna, sheet and ushna. Sheet is cold, ushna is hot. So just as we tolerate the seasons that change. Now in Kali Yuga there are more seasons. At least in Gurgaon there are more than Shitoshna. We have summer, we have winter, we have monsoon, then we have a pollution season, and then we have a virus season. And now a new season has been added, the COVID season, which I've heard doctors say will come every year, right? So we see so many seasons now. Lots of variety. Now, what are we doing because of these seasons? We are just going through them. We are tolerating them. It's not that we can bypass them, or we have made some arrangements where in our house, with the technology and money and the power and influence that I have, I can bypass these from entering my home or my family members. It's not that we can do anything about it, but we learn to live with it. Whether it's our lifestyle, our food, our clothes, our activities, everything we try to acclimatize it and adjust it to the changing seasons. So, what do we mean by tolerance? Does it mean that um, just allow people to do anything to us, whatever they want? They can beat you, punch you, kick you, and go and no, I have to be tolerant. I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to allow all this happening to me. In short, become a doormat. Is this what Krishna is saying here by tolerance? Or what is it that he's saying? They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, what he means by tolerance here is vigilance. One becomes vigilant, one becomes alert. How? With the armor of knowledge, of intelligence. Through the armor of Shastra, through the armor of this knowledge that we are getting, the supreme knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, one becomes vigilant on what to do and what not to do. Like all of us right now are tolerating COVID, not by going out and just surrendering to nature that jo hoga dekha jayega, I'm just going to go around and do my business. We've become vigilant. We are taking precautions. We are staying indoors. We are not meeting people. We are avoiding gatherings. We have stopped going to cinemas or malls. So we are vigilant. How? On the basis of the knowledge and information that is being provided to us by the community. That is called tolerating. So we haven't stopped living. It's thought that we have all gone and tried to kill ourselves and stopped taking care of our families or stopped going around our business. We are living our life, but we are living it with vigilance. So this is the practical meaning of tolerance. You tolerate with intelligence, with knowledge. You cannot bypass death. You cannot bypass death of loved ones. You cannot undo when things don't go your way. You want something and it doesn't happen. You can't do it. But with this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, of what Krishna is saying, you equip yourself and you arm yourself to take the right decisions when these difficulties knock on your door. When death of a loved one knocks on your door, how you react to that? You tolerate the death in knowledge, by understanding that this relative is not a body but is a soul, and he is on an onward journey, and his journey right now in this body has finished, but he or she has not died. They are moving further, and although it is painful to let them go, however, they are not dead, and my role is to see that I enable their safe passage to the other world. So this is called tolerance through vigilance. So tolerance means to understand what you have to do despite all the inconveniences. So you can safely say that austerity is a type of tolerance, but austerity that you take willingly. What kind of austerities? The way we abstain from food and drink in a particular period, or when we are afflicted with a virus, the kind of medicines that we have to take, or jo hame parhez rakhna padta hai khane peene mein, all this is austerity. So austerity is a form of vigilance and of tolerance. And people who adapt themselves and get themselves into this habit of austerity and vigilance are the ones who have maximum tolerance, and they are able to cruise through all the ups and downs and changing seasons in their life. So how do you decide which road to take? There are two roads. Supposing you are going somewhere and there are two roads. One road is full of potholes, muddy water, unkept, haphazard. Kacha, water is running over it, and another road is nicely built, cemented, tarred. So which road are you going to take? Maybe any one of you can raise your hand and answer. Supposing you have to choose between these two roads, which road will you take? Anuradha? Anu? You have to unmute.
Yes.
Which road will you take?
What?
Which road will you take? You have muted. Yes, Anjali, you want to say something?
Like when it actually means a physical road, like you said, a muddy or a clean highway.
Physical road, what will be the criteria for choosing the road?
So
Supposing
that would be like what GPS would tell us. So similarly, in kind of, an authority is telling us that this is the correct road, even if it is muddy. So similarly, like in spiritual life, we should follow the scriptures or the shastras or the, told to us by some authority. So like we generally do this when we are on an unknown road, we switch on the GPS, even if we are not aware. So GPS is an authority.
Yes, you're bang on. So how do we choose the road? Based on the destination. जाना कहाँ है उसके बेस पे रोड चूज करोगे, not by the condition of the road, isn't it? If that broken road is taking you back to the safety of your home, of course you will take that, and you will reject that beautiful tree-lined road lined with the best of restaurants and all conveniences, but it's not taking you home. So you're not going to take that road. You decide the road that depending on the destination, depending on where you're going to go. So that's the point that Krishna is trying to make here. According to Vedic injunctions, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of January, February, Magh. It is very cold during that time. But in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest parts of the summer season. So one has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is the religious principle of the Kshatriyas, and although one has to fight with a friend or a relative, you should not deviate from your prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge, because by knowledge and devotion only one can liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. So what mistake is Arjun making here then? He's making the mistake of considering the Yudh at Kurukshetra to be a family Yudh. It's not a family war. It's not a war between two cousins anymore. It's not about him and Dronacharya and him and Bhishma. No. This is a Dharam Yudh. It's a world war. And what is the reason behind this war? Is to re-establish the principles of Dharam which have been badly broken by all the demoniac kings in the world. So for a peaceful future and for the security of our women and children and the future generations, this youth is important to reinstate religion and to reinstate a just and virtuous king on the throne of Hastinapur. But Arjun is still stuck in, oh, my family, oh, my relatives. It's bigger than him and his family. So this is petty thinking in a way. You know, what will happen if say China attacks us, and the army general starts thinking, oh, if I go to fight on the front with China, what's going to happen to my wife? She's pregnant. Who's going to take care of her and my unborn child? I can't go. It's so dangerous out there. Can you see the difference between, even though he may show a lot of compassion, he has so much of compassion. He's worrying about his wife, his unborn child, his mother, his relatives, his parents. All this is compassion, but even compassion can be misplaced, wrongly placed, misused. Compassion is not always a virtue. So the bhav, the reason behind our compassion, is the major deciding factor whether we are committing a sin or we are committing a righteous activity. It's not that we can always wear the garb of being kind, being compassionate, being tolerant, and always get away with it without getting any reactions. What is your reason or mood behind this compassion, behind this kindness, and behind this tolerance will be the deciding factor. So all those people who go about life saying, "Maine kisi ka bura aaj tak nahi kiya, mere saath ye kyun hua?" Well, it's a good time to look at how you really lived your life. Is it really true that aapne kisi ka bura nahi kiya? Maybe you showed compassion, but you showed compassion for the wrong reasons, with the wrong people at the wrong time, place, and circumstance. Or, of course, it could be a karmic backlog from another era or another lifetime. That also is possible. But we go around our lives feeling entitled. I am so good and just. This can't happen to me. But you have to analyze your life according to the tenets of scriptures. Whether did you really live a just and good life? It has to be according to the Shastra and the principles of Dharam as given in the Shastra, not our own dictionary. Isn't it? When you have to give the English exam and when the teacher has to mark you, your meanings are corrected or compared as per the standard Webster's dictionary, not the teacher's own homemade dictionary. Isn't it? There is a world standard for the English language and in the English dictionary. And all your answers are checked according to that one standard, right or wrong? Similarly, how can we go around making our own rules of good and bad, right and wrong, pious and sinful? We also have to follow some international standard. And what is that international standard?
Scriptures.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in short. You really don't have to confuse yourself with all the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is the sum total or the summary of all the scriptures. All religions. This is a non-sectarian book. Anybody, this applies to human beings. Nowhere is the word Hindu mentioned in this book anywhere in any verse. The only word used by Krishna is Jiva. Now, who comes under Jiva? Can you exclude Americans from this? Can you exclude Pakistanis or the Chinese or the Lebanese or the Syrians? Anybody who is excluded? No. Whoever is a jiva or a living entity, these laws, he is bound by these laws of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, whether he chooses to believe them or no. Right? So the two different names of address given to Arjun are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side. And then to address him as Bharat signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he's supposed to have a great heritage. And a great heritage brings
Responsibility.
Great responsibility.
Yeah, not fame, not popularity. No, not a Guinness Book of World Records, your Hall of Fame, or a Padam Chakra or Bharat Bhushan. No, that's not the purpose. This is what in the Kali Yuga, this is how what people feel and think. Oh, I have such an illustrious background, give me a medal. No, sir. The more illustrious a background is, the more responsibility is there on your shoulders. Think about that first. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. So, verse by verse, Krishna is going to demolish the great lofty ideas and arguments that Arjuna has placed before Krishna. And the last verse that he spoke was the last verse of chapter 1. What did it say? Krishna, I shall not fight.
Not
He is completely rejecting and saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And giving such great Shastric Gyan like a Pandit. And now Krishna is going to, this is how he is counteracting him and showing him the flaws in his understanding and in his philosophy. So, agar Arjun ka ye haal ho sakta hai, what chance do you and me have? I mean, we should be reading the Bhagavad Gita every single day to save ourselves from making the wrong decisions. This is not an optional book and not a book that has to be read every Thursday only. It has to be read every day. You have to take decisions on Monday also, Sunday also, Tuesday, Wednesday also, Friday and Saturday also, not just Thursday. वो भी शाम को, सारा दिन निकल गया. We may have taken so many decisions before 4 o'clock. They may not be according to the tenets of religion, and we are going to suffer their consequences in the coming months, days, weeks, years. Right? And then we are going to go around saying, मैंने किसी का बुरा नहीं किया. Why is this happening to me? All right, 15th verse, Monica.
Yam hina vyatyanatiyete purusham purusharshabha sam dukha sukham dhiram so amritvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
Yeah. So, sam dukkha sukham. Sam means equipoised, equal. Dukh sukh, dukkha sukham. One who is equipoised in sukh and dukh both. So dukh में equipoised तो समझ में आता है. सुख में equipoised कैसे रह सकते हैं? What do we mean by being stable in happiness? Any ideas?
दुख में तो भगवान को सभी याद रखते हैं, लेकिन जो सुख में याद रखते हैं, मतलब we keep on chanting whether we are happy or we are not. जो हमें अपने कर्म करने हैं, जो हमें अपनी ड्यूटीज करनी है भगवान के प्रति, तो we have to follow whether we are dukhi or sukhi, irrespective of that.
Yes. Anybody else?
Realizing that also that even sukh is not permanent. This too shall pass. And therefore maintaining a balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anjali, I think you are revising your Gita and reading a little bit of, It clearly shows that you're regular with your reading. Very good. So, sukh, being stable in sukh means not taking the credit for the success or the sukh that you have got. If the dukh, when the dukh comes and you don't want to take credit for that, right? I didn't do anything and I got it. So why will you take credit for the sukh that comes to your life or the success that comes to your life? That also is not because of you. This is the meaning of staying sam in dukkha and sukh. Not rejoicing or grieving yourself, taking all the credit for the success that you achieve. That is also because of the mercy of the Lord alone. So there is a very important point that Prabhupada is making in this verse that really caught my attention. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of desires and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. Prabhupada says, tolerate the onslaughts of happiness. Look at the words that are being used here. You tolerate unhappiness, and you tolerate dukh, right? But he's saying tolerating the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. And he's giving a very nice example to help you understand what that means. We all are following the Varnashram institution, right? Which is the Varnashram institution? Anybody other than Anjali? What do we mean by Varnashram? Yes, Meena.
जो 4 आश्रम होते हैं, गृहस्थ आश्रम, फिर वर्ण आश्रम, संन्यास आश्रम. जो वर्ण आश्रम है 50 to 75 years में, जिसमें हम
ब्रह्मचार्य आश्रम,
ब्रह्मचार्य आश्रम, और उसमें हम अपने आप को इंद्रिय तृप्ति से मुक्त करके भक्ति की तरफ लेके जाते हैं, और सारी अपनी जितनी इच्छाएं होती हैं उसको खत्म करके भगवान के डिवोशन में लगाते हैं.
Yeah, so by Varnashram institution we mean Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanprastha and Sannyas. This is the Varnashram institution. Iska fourth stage kya hai? Sannyas. Sannyas. Now sannyas is a painstaking situation. None of us can imagine taking sannyas, because what does it mean to take sannyas? One who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. Renouncing family, giving up your family ties is called sannyas. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships, to give up the connection of wife and children. Now he's talking from a male point of view. Women are not expected to take sannyas, so please don't worry and go into depression on this verse. He's talking about men. That's why he's saying that it's difficult to give up wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Now, why does he say that? Why is giving up wife and children a way to liberation? I mean, बिचारे wife, बीवी बच्चों ने क्या बिगाड़ा आपका? You know, that you, and why will you not get liberated? Similarly, in Arjun's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult, to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Now, this is tolerance. This is an example of tolerance. That dharm yudh karte hue, you have to fight with your loved ones and close family members. That's tolerance. Because it's not going to be easy. These are people with whom you have grown up. You have shared so many memories. जिनकी गोद में आप खेले हैं, उनके ऊपर तलवार उठानी है धर्म युद्ध के लिए. तो आप, you will tolerate the feelings in your heart when you see them, but you will overcome those feelings to shoot the arrow at them, because it's the right thing to do for you and even for them. They are also going to get liberated. Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya are going to get a better destination after this youth. They have better times awaiting them. So even if it is difficult to fight with his family members, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. 24 saal ke, with a young wife. His wife was only 19 or 20 years, and an old mother. His father had already passed away. His brother had already taken sannyas. Just 2 women alone at home, and he gave them up. A young wife and an old mother. It's the most difficult thing to do at the age of 24. He had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. Now, let's not confuse this here. He took sannyas not just to go to the Himalayas or a cave and sit in meditation. That kind of sannyas is not being administered here or talked about here, because that is selfishness. You have abandoned your dependents, your wife and mother, to go and liberate yourself. No, we are talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu renounced his family life to deliver all the people of the world. He traveled from North India to South India, from East India to West India, on foot for the next 6 years, delivering every person that he was coming across through the sword of his knowledge. So this is a much higher cause, that he thought beyond his family to deliver all the families of the world. He unearthed so many scriptures, and he made all these, he sent Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami to Vrindavan to excavate and rewrite all the scriptures, because the scriptures had been lost, for the larger good of society, because the society was going in absolute wrong direction. So for the larger cause, he took sannyas. That kind of sannyas is wanted in the society today. Exactly like how the army man leaves behind his family, his old parents dependent on him, for the wider good of the entire country, to save the whole country, to protect our borders. Okay, YG, can I request you to speak verse 16?
Sure.
Yeah.
विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्व अनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, that is the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they've concluded by studying the nature of both.
Yeah. So here, the first line of the verse says, Nasato vidyate bhavo. And then the next half is, the words are interchanged. Na bhavo vidyate sataha. So earlier it is Nasato vidyate bhavo, and then Na bhavo vidyate sataha. The words are being rearranged to drive home a point, to focus on a particular point. For example, we've heard these very famous sayings, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. The same words are rearranged. Isn't it? Ask not what the country can do for you. Ask what you can do for a country. Or you can take a person out of Vrindavan, but you can't take Vrindavan out of the person. So it's just a rearranging of the words person and Vrindavan. You can take a person out of Vrindavan, but you can't take Vrindavan out of the person. So what are we trying to say here? There's a particular point on which we are trying to focus and drive home the point here. And what is the point? That those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent. Non-existent meaning? Is this body non-existent? We can see it. Of course, we can touch it. It's not non-existent.
Non-permanent.
So what do they mean?
Non-permanent.
Yes, absolutely. It is temporary. That's what we mean. Everybody knows that this is Matlok. And even Krishna had to follow the rules and regulations of this Matlok. Once he came, they leave after a certain point of time. Nobody stays here permanently. You have to leave. It's temporary. There is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no change. So the body has, will, is, and will perish. It has perished in the past. It is perishing as we speak right now, and it will perish in future. This is a fact, like the law of gravity. And similarly, the soul is permanent, young, eternal, forever, can never be destroyed by air, water, weapons, cannot be drowned by fire. Nothing can kill. This is also a fact. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So there is no endurance of the changing body. The body is changing every moment by the action and reaction of the different cells. This is what the modern science is also telling us. Growth and old age are taking place in the body at the same time. Simultaneously, as we are growing, old age is also coming towards us. And our body is aging and deteriorating with time. The moment a child is born, he has started deteriorating. Initially, हम खुशियां मनाते हैं, first birthday, second birthday, but he has deteriorated by 1 year. He has deteriorated by 2 years. But we come to realize it only by the time we reach 70 and 80. Oh, we have deteriorated. But the deterioration started from the day he was born. This is a fact. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and mind. This is a nice, significant word here. Prabhupada says, despite all changes of the body and the mind. Even your mind changes as your body changes. So you must have seen that people of advanced age, you have to tell them still, don't do this, don't do that. They don't consider themselves old. Their desires are still young. They still want to do the same things that they were doing in their young age. They don't realize that their body has aged because the soul has not aged. The soul is forever young and eternal and youthful. It does not deteriorate with time. But the body is deteriorating and the soul cannot understand that. So that's why the family members have to keep telling them, you can't eat this, you can't run this fast, you can't climb this. But the young soul inside that old body feels, why not? Why can't I do it? I was doing it just yesterday. Although that yesterday could be 20 years back, but to the soul it feels like yesterday. Because the soul is young. It never ages. This is a fact. By nature, the body is ever changing and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and personalist. So the Mayavadis and the Vaishnavas will agree on this one point at least, that the soul is eternal, is youthful, and the body deteriorates. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotimshi Vishnur, Bhuvanam Vishnuhu. Sun and moon nahi hote Vaikuntha mein. The effulgence of the Lord's body itself is enough to illuminate those planets. They don't need an artificial sun and moon like our planets need. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself, the difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature, although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Energetic is the supreme and energy is subordinate. We are the energy, Krishna is the energetic. There is no way to bypass this law, that he is the supreme energetic and we are the energy. So although we are coming from him, but we are not equal to him, we will always remain subordinate to him. The living entities, therefore, are always here. It says in the next line, the living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of master and servant, or teacher and the taught. So, in school, maybe the teachers become very friendly with the children as they're teaching nowadays. And the children also are encouraged to become very open and friendly with the teachers. And if you look at them, I'm talking about college children, if you look at the professor and the college boys, maybe you find no difference between them. You know, the college professor also may be young, the students who are learning from him also may be young, they are friendly, their interaction is not formal, it's casual, yet that distinction will always remain, that one is the teacher and the rest are students. The student can never take the place of the teacher. That distinction, that role will always be distinct and separate. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. So, living through this life, we confuse ourselves as the doer, as the controller, as the person responsible for all the things in our life that is happening. And we forget that we are subordinate and it is the Lord and His will that is running everything in our life. And He is the superior person whose will is working and not us and ours. And that is what is the cause of our lamentation and unhappiness. When all of us have gone through this, that I worked so hard, और my husband worked so hard, दिन रात एक कर दिया, फिर भी रिजल्ट नहीं मिला, फिर भी हमारे साथ ये हो गया, हमें नुकसान हो गया, or the other person didn't work as much as us and got it. Well, the result coming to you is not because of your effort. The result coming to you is because of the karmic cycle which is being run by the energy of the Supreme Lord, and we are just puppets. So those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the material body there is no endurance, and of the soul there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Now this is not just superficial. This knowledge you have to understand the practical application, which Krishna will explain very nicely in the following verses. Because India में तो ये बहुत common चीज है. हम आत्मा नहीं, हम सब हम आत्मा है, हम शरीर नहीं, हम आत्मा है. बचपन से ही सुनते आ रहे हैं. हमारे जो बड़े बुजुर्ग हैं वो ये खुले बहुत freely and frequently we say this word. आत्मा नहीं है जी, हम तो सब आत्मा ही हैं, हम शरीर का है, हम तो आत्मा है. But how many of us have actually internalized this fact? Or practically are we living this fact? When we go, supposing, let's take the example of death. Are we able to relate हम आत्मा है, हम शरीर नहीं, हम आत्मा है, to a death that happens in our family or to a close one? Can we practically apply that to our understanding? No. At that time, all this gyan runs out of the window. When we are happy and eating ice cream and enjoying parties, that time we can sit on the sofa and say, yeah, we are not the body, we are souls. But what is the practical application of this? I am not the body, I am Atma, I am Atma. Atma. To understand this fact, you have to live that life by some basic principles. Living this life of as an Atma and not as a body is the make or break of your life and the success of your life. So whatever you are doing, are you aware that you are doing it not as the body but as an Atma? That realization does not come unless you are slowly and steadily doing some spiritual practice every single day, and not according to your own whims and fancies, but according to the tenets of the scriptures. That is the real meaning of living like an Atma and not like a Deha. So, daily practice, daily austerity, daily tolerance is what will prepare us for that final time when we have to meet our end and it's time to leave this body. Those people will be able to do it the easiest. So, there is a very famous verse for this also, very famous saying also, that you can do all the spiritual activities as a big show. Oh, I am spiritual, I'm fasting, I'm doing dan and yagya, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But if you are sincerely not doing the actual real thing, it will be shown or it will be exposed at the time of death. How much you really practiced your spiritual life. Death is the test. The way you behave at that time, the way you meet your death. What is your attitude at that time? What are your thoughts at that time? What are the sentences that you are saying at that time? What are your feelings at that time? That time will tell you whether you really practice spirituality in your lifetime. Death is the test when this will be proved. So, this chapter is the summary, like the chapter says, the entire 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita are summarized in this chapter 2. So that is why we are just going to do it thoroughly and slowly, not run past it, because all the remaining 16 verses are going to depend on your thorough understanding of the second chapter. Okay, so with that we will end. It is already 5 o'clock. I will open for questions. If there aren't, we will do our closing prayers. So I would request everyone to switch on their videos so that we can meet everyone. And Hare Krishna, Archana.
Can I ask something?
Yes, Anjali, sure.
Like when we were reading that this Varnashram, so why did you specify that this holds good, or I mean men are eligible and doesn't hold good for women or the females?
Okay, would you like to take sannyas?
I mean, I talk about it just to threaten my husband, probably. But I keep
right.
चली जाऊंगी में 1 BHK लेके दो. I keep telling him that.
Even my husband says the same thing. If you continue like this, one day you are going to take sannyas.
Yes. So maybe
again,
of course this is light talk.
No, it's not light at all. This sannyas word is also a word that we freely use in India, like Atma. लेकिन जैसे हमें आत्मा की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है नहीं, हम उसको लिबरली फेंकते रहते हैं, हम आत्मा है. उसी तरह, let me understand what is your idea of sannyas. What do you mean? What is your life going to be in sannyas? Let's hear it.
At least for the immediate, I mean at the state that I am in now.
Yes.
ये रोज की जो भाग दौड़, क्या कहते हैं, the fighting, fighting, I don't mean the quarrel fighting, but जो रोज की, push and pull, working here, working there, the rigmarole, उससे तो at least some break, some change, something like we say कि जब okay, बेटे की शादी हो जाएगी, तब सुख मिलेगा, तब चैन मिलेगा, something like that. So ये रोजमर्रा की push and pull से some change, some peace, some peaceful time, something like that.
To do what?
हाँ, to do some bhakti, yes, definitely. I mean, अभी तो लगता है कि टाइम ही नहीं है, अपने रूटीन से तो पूरे हो जाए तो ये सब के लिए टाइम ही नहीं बचता है. By that time
Now,
शरीर
okay.
शरीर
Now,
थक जाता है.
let's fast forward your life. I'm so thankful that you raised this point, and I would request everyone to listen very carefully. Supposing you have a 1 BHK in Vrindavan today, and your husband has given you permission. Can you describe your day there? Or maybe a week there or a month there? What are you going to do?
Right now I won't make tall claims like कि मैं रहूंगी वहाँ, but at least peacefully सुबह को उठो, peacefully without thinking of the kitchen and all, अपना आदमी भक्ति किया, टाइम दिया. फिर ऑफ कोर्स अभी तक तो लाइक वी से संसार में है तो दोस अटैचमेंट्स आर स्टिल देयर. लाइक आई एक्चुअली टेल देम कि तुम लोग को जब मेरे पास आना होए मेरे को 2 दिन पहले बताना, मम्मा हम आ रहे हैं तो हमारे लिए खाना बनाना, अदरवाइज मेरे पास तुम लोग को दाल रोटी मिलेगी. यू नो, दिस इज ऑल लाइट बैंटर विच फैमिली में होती है बात. बट कुछ तो सुकून, सम पीस फ्रॉम द रैट रेस दैट वी आर इन.
So, Anjali, are you really talking about sannyas or are you talking about escapism?
Not only
there is a
escapism.
difference.
Yes, I agree. I understand, because like I said, I wouldn't say ki I'll be able to take sannyas. Right now, I'm in no position to be able to say that.
No, Anjali, I am saying, no, Anjali, I am saying, given that your family responsibilities are over, your son is married and settled, the business is working great, father-in-law is taken care of, husband has given you permission, then I'm giving you that scenario.
But फिर भी at least not this much of a rat race.
No, I'm saying in that situation, what are you going to do in Vrindavan?
फिर तो भक्ति, मतलब at least start walking along the path, कि बगैर कुछ स्ट्रेस लिए वो करो. अभी तो ये कर रहे हैं लेकिन साथ में स्ट्रेस भी है of the usual everything duties, घर का भी, बच्चे का, बच्चा is not a बच्चा, but office.
So will you be able to stay in Vrindavan?
Not
and
always.
morning
No. Maybe
Anjali, I think we are missing the point here. I'm saying in an ideal situation, if everybody's agreeing, including your husband, to you staying there, in that situation, can you live in Vrindavan?
No,
and
not
doing
forever.
bhakti 24 hours a day?
No.
Why not?
Because that attachment bit hasn't gone yet.
Exactly.
Attachment to the family.
Yes. So what we are looking for right now is just a break. This is not sannyas.
No.
All our attachments are in place. All our desires are in place. All our expectations are in place. We do not have a higher goal of liberating or helping other people out of their predicament. We just want to break from our own hectic self-made life. That's not sannyas.
No.
That's not sannyas. And therefore it's not recommended. These are the wrong reasons to go and stay in Vrindavan.
But why women? I mean, you specified that this we are talking about men and women. वो मैंने पूछा आपसे. Even I know I won't be able to do it. I'm not making tall claims. But why specifically you said this is not for women?
Because women are like children. They are naive and gullible and exploitable. And single women are easy prey. Unless you are really renounced, then the spiritual power will protect you. But if you are not, which almost all women are, because they are so attached to their possessions, their children, their this, their that, they have such a huge coterie of feelings and expectations. Then it's just a farce that I want to take sannyas. Sannyas is not a fashion.
Ji, can I say something?
Yes, please, Renuka.
Yeah, we used to say Narayan Narayan in our Gita classes, which used to happen in Gurgaon, but I have moved to Calcutta. So,
Okay.
like, जो our auntie ji used to take our classes. So when we ask this question, why not women, and why we just have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shankaracharya, Gautam Buddha, not their wives are never involved into that path, though they have attained that soul enrichment thing.
Yes.
तो she answered कि फर्स्ट चैप्टर में जब अर्जुन विषाद में है और वो कह रहा है कि सारी स्त्रियों का धर्म दूषित हो जाएगा, लड़ाई में सब हार जाएंगे, तो स्त्रियों के ऊपर दूसरे लोग आके उनका धर्म नष्ट कर देंगे. सो द सोसाइटीज होल, जो धर्म की बागडोर थी, जो अपने संस्कार हमें पास ऑन करने को दिया जाता था, तो वुमेन यूज्ड टू प्ले दैट मेजर रोल. शी यूज्ड टू pass on all that dharam and sanskar to the children. That's why her role is much more bigger than the role of the men. That's why they were not put into this path, only the men. That what she has said to us, and I find it very logical also, कि कुंती ने अकेले 5 बच्चों को, उसने 5 को पाला, and she has passed on all the good things of that कौरव राज्य and पांडु का सारा कुछ उसने pass on किया. The same thing is that's why the women were never pushed into it, but woman is the one who will keep control of all the things, all the good things. That's why if the woman is not good, we say इसका मतलब generally आज भी अगर बच्चा बिगड़ता है तो बिना लेमैन से भी कह देते हैं माँ ने रोका नहीं, मदर को दिखा नहीं. तो एक स्टोरी भी है हमारी इसके ऊपर कि जिसमें एक चोर जो होता है जब वो पकड़ा जाता है तो एंड में वो अपनी माँ को बुलाता है कि और उसका कान काट लेता है, बिकॉज ही सेड कि जब मैंने पहली बार चोरी की थी, शी डिडंट स्टॉप मी, शी कुड हैव. तो जो भी अच्छा पास ऑन के लिए है हमारे समाज में या हमारे परिवार में, जो भी आप पास ऑन करते हैं वो लेडी पास ऑन करती है. अगर आपके घर में पूजा का टाइम 8 या 9 बजे है तो इरिस्पेक्टिव सब लोग उस टाइम आके वहां पे खड़े हो जाएंगे और पूजा करेंगे, बिकॉज द लेडी दैट द बॉस ऑफ द हाउस इज डूइंग दैट. दैट वाज one version of hers. So I don't know how much you agree, but
No,
I agree to that.
Sure.
Because
Yes.
it was it's in the first chapter only when Arjun was saying कि कुल धर्म का नाश हो जाएगा, वन संकर संतानें पैदा होंगी, स्त्रियां दूषित हो जाएंगी अगर ये युद्ध को रोका नहीं गया. He was giving all excuses. तो from that point of view it was said कि पूरा कुल धर्म का जो कंट्रोल था वो औरतों के हाथ में था.
Definitely tha. And in the same line that you have mentioned, he's also saying they will be exploited, and that
Yes,
is the
that's the
situation
very
in
very
society.
practical thing.
Yeah,
They will
that
be exploited.
women are to be protected.
Yes.
Women and children always have to be protected by the male members of the society, because not only that they will be exploited, they are naive and gullible. I use these 2 words also. They can easily be fooled or distracted, or because they are emotional beings. So you can emotionally blackmail a woman into doing many things. That's why this was Arjun's concern too, that they can be corrupted easily. So it's not so easy to be a single woman and take sannyas. They always need the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, and all of us actually need the guidance. However,
All of us, no matter what.
yes. However, running away from your responsibility to take sannyas is not the solution. And you will not get peace even there, because you will keep on worrying about your attachments back home. So that is not definitely the solution. And this world has been perfectly organized. A male and a woman has been created for specific purposes. And the success of the society completely depends on both the male and female doing their respective roles as given by nature to them, responsibly. So if the woman's, like Renuka is saying, if the woman's role is as a nurturer or caregiver,
Of the family.
then yeah, then that role has to be played to the highest caliber and capacity. And the male members of the society have their roles to play, to give protection and to lead the members of the society towards dharam. So there is no fight between the two, or no competition, or no comparison on what he can do and what she can do. That's a big mistake that the current society is making by the feminism and all these things that they are trying to do. All that is happening on the level of the body. They're only working, they're just body conscious. Their consciousness is only on the level of the body. Hence, all these liberalism, feminism, leftism, thisism, thatism. But if at the level of the soul, we just have to be doing a duty either as a woman or as a male, whichever body we have got in our current life. But our goal should be to liberate not only ourselves from the cycle of birth and death, but even our dependents and all those who are attached to us in this life through various relationships. That is the duty of a woman. You can consider that as your sannyas. That I have to
That's why Arjun
inspire.
was not. When Arjun said he wants to take sannyas, Krishna scolded him for saying so from the battlefield. We cannot run away from our duties in simple
Yeah,
words.
I mean, you are a kshatriya. You just fight. Do your job. What are you going to do taking sannyas there? You're just going to liberate your own self. What happens to the rest of the world? So believe me, when you start living on the level of the soul, in soul consciousness, by this regular study of Bhagavad Gita and by the religious principles of Bhakti Yoga, these problems will stop bothering you. No, you will not be disturbed by this, these fast-paced demands on your time. Whatever you're going through right now, this will stop disturbing you. You will get that strength to find
Endure.
ways and means, not only endure, but the intelligence on how to tackle it so that you get more time to practice Bhakti Yoga. Which means that your soul will get strengthened. That is sannyas. And austerity strengthens, tolerance strengthens the soul. And we did today the meaning of tolerance. That tolerance is not being a doormat. It's not that the negative role of women that they are portraying. A lot of bashing is going on in the society right now. Vedas bashing. Vedas are wrong. Vedas are regressive. Vedas have exploited and subjugated women. I was going to say something, I lost the point. My point was that women, you can strengthen your personality, your inner strength, your the soul, with the soul consciousness, so that you are able to, I mean, just take a look at Jijabai, Shivaji's mother, and all these Rajput queens. Where was all their strength coming from? They were even guiding their warrior sons. Shivaji Maratha had lost his father very early in life. His mother Jijabai was counseling him on how to take on the Marathas, the Mohammedans, the Mughals who were attacking. Where was she getting all that strength from, despite being a single mother raising her children? It was adhyatmic, spiritual, purely all her strength was spiritual strength. That spiritual strength is not something dogmatic. It's not dhoop batti diya and weakness. This is the image that the current society is projecting. It's a narrative that is being given to us. It's wrong. This is not what the Vedic women
did or lived by. They were not weaklings. They were strong women. They were austere. They were pativratas. One woman, one man. How difficult is that? Ask any woman today to be a pativrata. It's not easy. It requires a lot of willpower. You know, so this austerity is a strength which is diminishing slowly because our austerity is diminishing. We are leading too much a life of sense gratification. We are indulging our senses so much in luxuries and enjoyments that the will of our soul is weakening day by day. And that is the cause of our problems. So Adhyatmic strength helps you overcome all of this, but we will understand practically how to do it. These are not just lectures and words. There are specific things to do and specific things not to do, which you will learn as we progress in the Bhagavad Gita. And the foremost among them is mantra meditation. Chanting the names of Krishna and Ram, because these names are not from this material world, they are coming from the spiritual world. And the moment you chant, Krishna sitting in your heart starts cleaning your heart with a broom. I was hearing, as Amrendra Prabhu said today in the video, that he may not clean his home in Golok. You know, he makes his mother clean and all the other maidservants clean. But your heart, he will sit and clean. Of all these insecurities and all these dilemmas that are there in a woman's heart, he will start scrubbing it with Harpik, so that it becomes white and shining. And the moment your heart gets cleaned, you get that strength and nothing can unface you. It becomes a happy life. आपके घर में रहकर ही आपको संन्यास मिल जाएगा. You will get peace, you will get security, you will get everything by living in your house, in the middle of your business, in the middle of your relatives, in the middle of your husband. They can't touch you, and they will wonder how is she unaffected? What's going on? कुछ कर दिया हरे कृष्णा वालों ने इसके ऊपर झाड़ फूक कर दी. You know, it's a fact. You will meet these people. Yeah. So I guess there are no more questions. These questions have answered, I think, everybody's questions. So we can switch on our videos and say our closing prayers. YG, would you like to repeat after me?
Yes, Vanita, I'll repeat after you.
All right. Ekam Shastram.
Ekam Shastram.
Devaki Putra Geetam.
Devaki Putra Geetam.
Eko Devo.
Eko Devo.
Devaki Putra Eva.
Devaki Putra Eva.
Eko Mantras.
Eko Mantras.
Tasya Namani Yani.
Tasya Namani Yani.
Karmapi Ekam.
Karmapi Ekam.
Tasya Devasya Seva.
Tasya Devasya Seva.
Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva.
Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva.
Tvameva Bandhu Chasakha Tvameva.
Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva.
Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva.
Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva.
Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva.
Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Haraye Paramatmane.
Paraye Paramatmane.
Pranata Kalesha Nashaya.
Pranata Kalesha Nashaya.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Devaki Nandanaya cha
Devaki Nandanaya cha
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha
Govindaya Namo Namaha
Vasudevam Sutam Devam
Vasudevam Sutam Devam
Kamsa Chanura Mardanam
Kamsa Chanura Mardanam
Devaki Paramanandam
Devaki Paramanandam
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum
Katyayani Mahamaye
Katyayani Mahamaye
Mahayogini Adhishwari
Mahayogini Adishwari
Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi
Nanda Gopastutam Devi
Patim Me Kurute Namaha
Patim Me Kurute Namaha
Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
Dasoham Krishna Tavasmi
Dasoham Krishna Tavasmi
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai
Jai, Guru Maharaj ki
Jai
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol. So I request everyone to chant this Maha Mantra on the beads every single day. If you really want to be an empowered woman and if you really want to take sannyas quickly and run away from the stress of life, please start today. You know, it's not a joke. I'm serious. Please start today and chant at least 2 rounds, minimum 2 rounds every single day. And you will see your life changing after this. Okay? And we can help you with whatever problems you face while you are chanting. We meet on Tuesdays for this purpose only, to strengthen our chanting practices, mantra meditation, and to learn more about the mysteries of the holy name and how it can change our life. Same time, same link, 4 o'clock every Tuesday. Please find time to come for this class, and you will see your life changing in a very short time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.